Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of the Gridiron Football Player of the Week show. This is our Week 6 edition, so just past the halfway point of the regular season. Jace LeJeune alongside Nick Mautone and Grant Chachere. Well guys, another week in the books for high school football. We got some, last week was all Louisiana lists. We're going to have Texas involved this week here too in the top 10. But it's really been a fun week, really a fun year doing this show. Super excited what we got in store. Before we start guys, what's your thoughts on just this upcoming week and just really the season so far as we reach the halfway point of high school football? So I guess I'll start with you first, Nick. What do you think about the season so far?
It's going pretty good.
Simple as that, right? It's going pretty good. What about you, Grant? Going to week 6?
It's pretty exciting. Going around high school football, Louisiana. Holy Cross has been the story of the season so far down in New Orleans. 6-0, and they have a chance to win their first Catholic League title since 2002. But there's also a bunch of other good stories as well. And this season's pretty unpredictable. I don't know what's going to happen, so we'll see down the line. I'm really excited.
Well, I'm really excited about this list because really I looked at it and it was probably the hardest list to pick because we only can mention 10 names on the show, but I saw the list and we had over 30 submissions for this week's Gridiron Football Player of the Week around the country, and really most of them, I mean, you can make an argument for like top 10 or top 5. It was really tough just to pick a top 10, and so that really makes this top 10 list even more special to get on when it's just a loaded week, because there are probably about 20, 25 you can probably put on here. So it shows you how loaded this week was. So we're going to go and get the list kick started, and Nick will count down from 10 to 1, and starting off with number 10 is a name that we're very custom here, Gridiron Football. In fact, he's leading the state in rushing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming in at number 10, we've got Kavon Johnson, the St. Edmund running back.
It's Kavon Johnson, that's right, from St. Edmund High School, and he's just been really good running the football. This is hard to imagine, but this is actually I believe it's only his sophomore year coming up, so that just shows you how good he's been. In fact, Kavon was actually our first ever Player of the Week winner when we debuted the show last year. He had himself another typical night for him. I mean, this is like an ordinary night for him. It was pretty crazy, though, with the stat line. 13 carries, 264 yards, and 4 touchdowns. They're all in a 48-0 win over North Central. And Kavon Johnson, he wants to be the rushing king this year in the state. And right now, with that rate, he's doing a pretty good job of it. 264 yards and 4 touchdowns. One of the most underrated running backs in the state.
Oh, yeah, definitely. He's a sophomore, so he's still got plenty of time. And I think, as he gets older and he gets bigger, I think you're going to see him as being one of the top running backs in the state.
We'll go to
he already is.
Yeah.
By the way. So.
Yeah, leading rusher in the state right now, and Coach Shiver and the Blue Jays are flying pretty high right now, 5-1 as we go into week 7 of the season. Nick, we'll go to number 9. We go from a running back to a wide receiver.
We sure do, and we got the University High wide receiver, Seth Gale.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of him. He's actually invited to play in our Gridiron Football American Bowl game coming up. Seth Gale, he's just one of those guys every time. He doesn't get like a lot of catches per game, but when he does get catches, they're usually result in either a touchdown or like a 70, 80-yard play. He's just that explosive, and this game was another example of what he can do when he catches the football. 3 catches, 139 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So 2 of the 3 receptions he had went for scores. Also had a punt return for 30 yards. So they actually went to Mississippi, played a team in Mississippi, won 48-26. Grant, you and I have seen Seth play, and he's just a playmaker with a football in his hands. The speed that he possesses and the playmaking ability he possesses is pretty special.
Seth Gale is probably one of the most underrated receivers, not only in Baton Rouge, but in the state as a whole. I mean, he's meant so much for that program over there. Like you can ask any of his teammates. They love him. He's one of the. He's a true leader, natural born leader, and I think that as long as Seth Gale is healthy, I feel like that U-High will have a hell of a chance to make it to the Dome.
Well, we'll go to number 8, and a similar type of stat line, not many touches, but man, he capitalized on all those touches. We go to from one state title contender to another one at number 8.
Yeah, coming in at 8, we've got the Destrehan wide receiver, Jabar Mack.
And Jabar Mack, just like Seth Gale, only had a couple of touches. He only touched the football 4 times, but he scored 3 of those 4 touches. So he had 3 catches, just over 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Also ran the ball. Only 1 carry, got a 45-yard touchdown run, so I'm assuming that he told Coach Scott, oh, you put me at running back. I mean, this ain't that hard. You give me the ball 1 time, I score a 45-yard touchdown. So it can't be that hard. But 3 touchdowns on 4 touches. Man, and you're going to actually, Grant, you're actually going to have a chance to see Destrehan play this Thursday when they play against Terrebonne.
Yeah, and Destrehan has a lot of great players like Kalaj Cobbins. You have also Shane Lee, who's a running back, who's one of the true sleepers in the state, but he's gotten 2 offers, but an offer from Miami, and I think the other offers from Florida State, I believe. It's something of that effect. But yeah, Destrehan also has a lot of great other players too that you would probably consider sleepers, and Jabar Mack is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, just pick your poison, right? I mean, anybody can beat you, and Jabar Mack certainly did that when the Wildcats defeated Central Lafourche 51-0. Now we go into number 7, so we get a little of a Taysom Hill factor at number 7.
We do, and we come in with the quarterback, running back, and linebacker from South Plaquemine, Alex Phillips.
Versatility, that will get you on this list, and in fact, a lot of times has really won our player of the week a lot of times. Alex Phillips comes in at number 7 as a quarterback and completed 6 of 10 passes for 95 yards and a touchdown. Ran the ball 13 carries, 188 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But I think what solidifies him to be on this list is that he got 17 total tackles on defense too. So throwing, running, playing defense, leading the team in tackles. Alex Phillips, his name was called a whole lot during that game for sure. Now it was a big win for Coach Fitt. So he's doing an excellent job with the Hurricanes. 26-7 win over Houma Christian. Now we go into number 6, Nick. So who's our next spot?
We do, and we have the St. Helena College and Career Academy.
Yep.
We have their athlete, Willie Martin.
Yeah, Willie Martin, just like the guy below him, Alex Phillips, did it in different ways. An athlete for him, 10 tackles, 6 TFLs. That's very impressive as a defensive player. 2 forced fumbles as well. Add that to 96 yards rushing and a touchdown on offense. So last 2 picks, Grant, have been pretty versatile on offense and defense.
Yeah, and when you have players like that who can play on both sides, it means a lot to the team. Because sometimes these teams need players to play on both sides due to their numbers. So when you have a player like that who can make an impact both on offense and defense, that's huge for your team.
So with that being said, Nick, we're going to go to the top half of our list at number 5.
We sure are, and coming in at number 5, we have Dredric Lasty, the Riverside Academy running back.
Yeah, Grant, I'm going to let Grant explain this one a lot, but I'm going to just briefly go over his stat line because Grant was at that game, covering that game. But Dredric, everybody was odds was on Harlan Berry, but Dredric Lasty says, hey, I'm pretty good too. He showed that this past Friday. 18 carries, 338 yards, 4 touchdowns, averaging 18 yards a carry in a huge win. A lot of media was at that game, and a big win over St. Martin's Episcopal and their running back Harlan Berry. Grant, you were at that football game. You saw this in person and nominated Dredric for his performance, and Dredric gets a top 5 performance. What really stood you most out to you when seeing Dredric run the football on Friday?
Well, the thing is, too, is that, I think a lot of credit has to go to his offensive line. They were able to clear the holes for him. That allowed him to have some of those longer runs. But, the thing that stood out to me the most was that he was shifty because, he's only 5'3".
Right.
So you can be incredibly shifty and makes it harder for people to tackle, especially when you're fast. But then also he's a very confident person. I actually talked to him after the game. I interviewed him. It's also on my Twitter if you want to look at it. But he was a very confident person. That tells me he has a big heart and he's not afraid of anybody who's in front of him. And I think that's and you need that, especially if you're a running back, and especially when the linebackers coming straight at you. And also to have a lot of good players around you. That also makes a difference too. That allow you to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy to think 5'3" with 120 pounds or something like that.
Yeah.
Another like Darren Sproles, right?
That's right.
So we go into top 4, and it's going to be pretty quarterback heavy in the next couple of selections.
Yeah, we have number 4. We have the Opelousas Catholic quarterback Mark Collins.
You can actually check it out. One of our photographers, Jason Saucier, he was at that football game when Opelousas Catholic played Westminster. So he took a lot of those pictures. So you actually see Mark in action with a lot of action shots in that game. Mark Collins, he's a ULL baseball commit. As well, really good athlete, and he's a pretty good quarterback too. Obviously, throwing for 416 yards and 5 touchdowns, completed 26 of 34 passes, and he had a rushing touchdown too. They scored 41 points, so pretty much he accounted for pretty much everything they scored that night. 471 total yards and 6 touchdowns for the Opelousas Catholic quarterback. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, 400 yards, really impressive, no matter the level. So the fact that you're able to throw the rock like that, just shows you how good that Opelousas Catholic can really be. And they got a good squad over there. And, they could make another run to a state title. And they showed that last year, even though they fell short to Ascension Catholic. I mean, who was also another program, that great program. I think, I still think Opelousas Catholic can make another run, especially with the talent they have on their team.
Well, we're going to go to our top 3, and it's not just about Louisiana. We actually got a Texas nominee in our top 3. Nick, tell us a little bit about our Texas native here.
Yeah, he's a quarterback, Caven Bryant out of Westwood High School.
So Kavon, appreciate Coach Bishop as well for sending that one in, and that's what we're saying. We're definitely opening up to more than outside the state of Louisiana, so we're getting a little bit more and more nominees each week, and we get Texas represented in the top 10 this week with Kavon Bryant. 15 for 19. Talk about efficient performance here. 15 for 19, just over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. He had just as many touchdowns as incompletions. And then when he ran the football, it was all for a big play because he only carried the ball 5 times, but it went for 129 yards and 1 touchdown. Got a big win in that way as well. And it was a close game, 42 touchdown game, 42-28 against Shepherd High School, and he scored 5 of those 6 touchdowns. So very efficient performance, and the numbers are good, but the way he just really was in total command of that game is the reason why he sticks out even more in the top 3.
Right.
All right, so we go into our top 2, and then just missing the cut is actually a former Gridiron Football Player of the Week.
Yeah, coming in second place, we have the Oak Grove quarterback, Jackson Bradley.
Yeah, Jackson Bradley, if you haven't heard his name, he seems like he's been playing football for a while now. Only a junior, still got another year. He's already accomplished a whole lot, a state champion, quarterback at Oak Grove High School, and was a former player of the week for us for Gridiron Football. He only threw, well, they're not going to throw it a whole lot in the offense they do run, but when they throw, watch out for Jackson Bradley. 9 for 14, 233 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So pretty much half of his passes, completions, went for touchdowns. And then he can run the football too. He's a hard guy to bring down. 15 carries, 143 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So if you do the math, just close to 400 yards of total offense, 370 yards, and 7 total touchdowns. Grant, we always talk about some of the big names coming up in the 2027 class. But as far as 2025 is concerned, Jackson Bradley may be the top guy next year.
Oh, yeah, and Jackson Bradley, I think he's a hell of an athlete, not only as a quarterback, but I think he's a guy where if you just give him the ball, he's going to do something with the ball. And I think there's very few people like that in the state where, you can put the ball in his hands and he can make something with it. And Jackson Bradley's done this, forever. I think he's played since his freshman year, if I'm correct. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, he's been doing this for a long time. His dad was also a hell of an athlete as well. Like you say, yesterday he was an All-American tight end at La Tech. So they got a lot of good genes in the Bradley family. So I think, this year they're also favored. I think they're going to win. They're favored to win state again. Mm-hmm. They got a hell of a team over there, but it starts with Jackson Bradley. He's the heart and soul of that team.
Yeah, got a 61-27 victory. Congratulations, Coach Gregory and their team. They are rolling right now. The team to watch out, certainly when the playoffs come. Before we go into our number 1 selection, guys, what do y'all think about the list so far? We'll start off with you, Nick.
I think it's pretty good. Good performances.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty good performances sticking out. And for you, Grant, what do you think about the top 10 before we go to number 1?
I think, just going off of more on Jackson Bradley, I mean, that wasn't an easy opponent he did that against. That was against a very good Haynesville team.
Right.
A team that Oak Grove actually beat to get to the state championship last year. So that was no easy opponent. And that's the craziest thing, too, is that, usually he'd probably be number 1, but somebody else had a big-time performance as well. I think Jace, you can start off.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a great transition there to number one. We've had some pretty good running backs. Actually, it's been kind of running back heavy. I mean, we got Holmberry as well. We have some quarterbacks, some receivers, but we're going to go back to our running back for our number one Gridiron Football Player of the Week.
We are, and coming in first place is the Ascension Catholic running back Chad Elzy Jr.
Saw this guy, and actually you and I, and then we saw him in person in the Jamboree earlier this year. And Chad Elzy, talk about not being talked about, is this kid from Ascension Catholic in Downsville, Louisiana. He is really good, and every time he touches the football, it can be 6. He's a human highlight reel. 10 carries. 348 yards. He averaged 34 yards a carry. 5 touchdowns. Half of those carries went for 6 points. Unbelievable performance against St. John. Chad Elzy Jr., have yourself a night, young man. When you score half of your carries, you only touch the ball 10 times running the football. You score half of those times for touchdowns, and you run for 348 yards. Those are very insane numbers, Grant.
Yeah, and this guy is definitely the number one sleeper in the class of 2025, in my opinion. I mean, this man has, well, I'm saying man, but kid, man. He
runs like a man.
He plays like a man. It doesn't matter, but he's he's probably one of the top 10, even top 5 backs in this state right now. There's no reason why I think he should be getting looked at every single college in the country, in my opinion. It doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter which college. He just needs to get looked at because every week in and week out, he's had an impressive performance. And everybody I've talked to, whenever I mention Ascension Catholic, have you seen Chad Elzy play?
Right.
I mean, he's an amazing player, a truly amazing player, and I think, Ascension Catholic, like I said about Jackson Bradley, he's the heart and soul of Oak Grove. Chad Elzy's the heart and soul of Ascension Catholic, and I think he was a big reason why they went to the semifinals last year, and I think he's going to be a big reason why they may make it to state this year in the Dome.
Yeah, they definitely can. I mean, when he gets the football, just watch out because he's definitely a threat to score 6. And early in his career, he played some receiver. He returns kicks still, and they're going to put him at running back as their best player. So congratulations, Coach. Thanks for Coach Sanders for submitting that one in, and congratulations to the Bulldogs on a big win, bounce back win too after a tough loss the week before against the Episcopal Knights. But great performance by Chad Elzy. That makes it our Week 6 Gridiron Football Player of the Week. So just add another running back to the tally there. Any final thoughts from you guys? Just any reaction to the list overall, or just Chad Elzy being number one? So I guess for you, Nick, first.
Yeah, congratulations. Hell of a performance. 11 touches and over 370 yards. It's pretty crazy. Pretty unheard of.
Yeah, it really is. Just overall, what do you think about this list?
I think it's a great list. And, I was actually looking at the list yesterday. I had a hard time trying to figure out, okay, who should be in our top 10. I had to mark some people down. I was like, okay, these guys are top 10 worthy. And there's another performance I have to mention that was on this list that I think could have made the list, but just barely missed. And that was Cole Canatella against St. Aug.
Yeah.
It's 11 of 19, 6 touchdowns, 251 yards, and he threw it to 3 different receivers too. And I think he barely just missed the list.
Yeah,
I want to make sure I give a shout out to him because he had a hell of a performance against a very tough St. Aug defense. And nobody's really put up more than 30 points against the St. Aug defense, and Holy Cross is the only one to do that.
Yeah, that's very impressive too, and that was just one of many performances that just missed it out. So if you want to see the rest of the honorable mentions nominees that Grant just mentioned just now, go to our website, gridironfootballusa.com. We'll have the top 10. We'll also have the honorable mentions all listed. So we appreciate all the coaches. We got honorable mentions as well, represented from the state of Texas, Mississippi, and Florida too. So we had over 30 selections. We appreciate y'all coaches. I know y'all busy, so we appreciate taking time out of the day to help promote these kids. So that's what we try to do here at Gridiron Football. Like I said, all football all the time. Appreciate y'all guys for another great show. And I know that so far, we're going to try to get the other states involved. I know we have one Gridiron Football Player of the Week from the state of Texas, but Louisiana so far have been controlling it. So we'll see if we get more and more nominees from outside the state. So we'll see what happens. But another great week for the state of Louisiana, and hopefully we get more from Texas and Mississippi and Alabama and then so forth after that, because it's Gridiron Football USA. Well, I appreciate it, guys. For Nick Mautone, for Grant Chachere, I'm Jace LeJeune saying so long. We'll see you all next week for Week 7 Gridiron Football Player of the Week. Congratulations to Chad Elzy Jr.